Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. And good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. It is a WeatherBrains Thursday night special. Hey, hey, this is WeatherBrains, the weather show that's the weather podcast that's been around longer than any other. 19 years old. And this is the pre show, the magical time of the program where we share boring personal stories, humorous anecdotes, and do outrageous things. It might get a little wild here tonight because it is a Thursday night special. For those that are new here, a lot of you are new. We typically do the show Monday nights. We do Monday nights, I'd say probably, goodness, 45 out of the 52 weeks a year. But from time to time, we have to move things around a bit to accommodate schedules. And I will be taking a rare vacation week next week. And when I do that, we record the show for the week the Thursday before. So this will technically be the show for that will be released to the world, the podcast version on Monday the 20. Let's see, Monday the 16th of June. But we are live on Thursday the 12th of June, if that makes any sense. So thanks for being here, and we're going to get this thing started. I think everybody is here. And again, until early August, we're not going to have much of a pre-show because of some scheduling changes here. So if anybody needs to say something really obnoxious or, this is your chance to do it because we're about to start the recorders. And the pre-show never gets on the recorded podcast, which is probably a good thing. And again, looking at the metrics of the show, about 75% of the people listen to the audio version. About 25% watch, although, goodness gracious, we had Max Velocity, the YouTube weather star, on the show last week, and the YouTube numbers surged with that. So thanks to Max for giving us a boost on the video side. But let's get it going here. First off, let's see. Jeff, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I think so. Right.
All right.
I
Loud
have
and
too
clear.
many monitors, so can you guys hear me okay? Are we good?
Yeah,
We're good.
sound perfect.
Okay,
That's a good show title, Too Many Monitors, but it's not a show title because the show hasn't started yet.
That's how I roll, buddy.
Yeah. All right, track one and track two.
Were you baiting me into saying something I shouldn't so that you could edit it out? That's what I'm wondering.
No, the show's
No
never
edits on
edited.
this show.
Okay.
No edits on this show.
Okay.
All right, here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to WeatherBrains. They're kind of a big deal.
You heard it from Bill Curtis, Weather Brains, episode number 1013. 19 years old and rolling along. This is the show for Monday, June the 16th, 2025. And I'll let you in a little secret here. We're actually recording the show on Thursday, June the 12th. It is a Thursday night special, and that I will be taking a little vacation week. I do this 3 times a year. I typically take a week off about the third week in June. I'll take a week off at the end of July, and then I'll take off Christmas week. And whenever I'm on vacation, we record the show for that week, the week before, typically on Thursday night. Headed up to Boston. Our tradition is to go watch some Red Sox baseball. So if you're watching this live on Thursday the 12th, we'll be at Fenway Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. And I love it, and it happens every year. We'll see WeatherBrains fans there. So if you're at Fenway, just zip me a message and we'll have an impromptu meetup and take some pictures, and we have a great time. It is a very happy place. Rick Smith, have you ever been to Fenway Park in Boston?
I have never been to Fenway Park. I've been to Boston, but didn't get there. It was January, and we were at an AMS meeting and probably unknowingly spreading COVID between each other at the time. So.
Yeah, I remember that AMS meeting. Yes,
A super
Good old,
spreader event. Yeah.
January of 2020.
Didn't even know it yet. Yeah.
Magical, the time of the year there. So it looks like things are sure getting quieter for you, Rick. It looks like you're maybe going to have a little chance to breathe here.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it hasn't just been outrageous. We've had busier springs, but last week was a doozy because we were doing our big software update where we were essentially, we weren't down, but our AWIPS was down for the whole, pretty much the whole week. So we had Lubbock doing our forecast, we had Tulsa and Fort Worth doing our warnings. So we were on a Google Meet dictating or conversing back and forth with the warning forecaster in Fort Worth, who was effectively the warning forecaster for Norman. And for the first time in my 23-year warning coordination meteorologist career, I feel like I actually coordinated some warnings last week for the first time. So it was a fun experience, I think.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Rick, how big of deal is that for another coordinating office to issue warnings? Here where I live, it's a big deal. It's a real big deal to get maybe somebody from out of the area to try to immediately know the area.
Yeah, it is a big deal. We practice. Tulsa's our primary backup, but they're short-staffed, so we didn't really. For one severe weather event, we actually sent two of our meteorologists to Tulsa, and they gave us two workstations, and we did it from there. So all the warnings said issued by Tulsa, but they were issued by our two forecasters. It gets complicated, but it's a big deal. When Fort Worth was issuing the warning for us, we had a meteorologist in our office who was looking at radar and talking to their warning forecaster who was warning for us. Now they know the meteorology, the storms are the same, but it's the geography and things like that. So we would, we were conversing back and forth, and I don't know. It was kind of it's fun. It's always fun to look. It's always, when you look back, it's always easy to say, oh, that was fun. That was an interesting experience. But it's something you don't want to have to do during severe weather season. We were stuck and had no option. But yeah, it's always a big deal. You never want to turn over what you do for your people in your area over to someone else. But we were right there. It's not like we were completely down. We were still doing our chat and everything like that. But yeah, it's a big deal for sure, no doubt.
Oh, I thought there was a program where there were visiting meteorologists across the different stations. So that's what I was told by my friends in Grand Junction.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff going on now. I know Grand Junction is one of the offices, I think, that is pretty short-staffed right now. In fact, one of the meteorologists I know in Nashville, I think, is getting ready to go to Grand Junction for a week or two to help out, and we have one of our forecasters going to Goodland next week to help out. There's all kinds of weird stuff, but each Weather Service office has 3 different backup offices, and we practice. And so ours are Tulsa, Fort Worth, and Lubbock. And during a 3-minute period last week, I think every office issued a product coming from our office during that time. So it was a crazy time. Every office is having to go through this software update through the end of this month. So yeah, it's good. It's good that we practice that kind of thing because it comes in handy in situations like this.
So tell
go
us,
to James
Rick, about
Adelot
about the upgrade. Is it everything you expected it to be?
I don't even know what for sure. It was something to do with Red Hat 8. Honestly, it was, and there was a contract that expired or something that expired, and so all 120 something Weather Service offices around the whole country had to get this done by the end of June. So next week I think it's Fort Worth, Lubbock, Amarillo, Goodland. There's like a whole cluster of Southern Plains offices that are doing it all the same week. So we don't know for sure who will be backing up next week. We know we're backing up Lubbock, but yeah, it was nothing like, oh, now you're going to have better satellite data or anything like that. It was just some behind the scenes thing that had to be done because of a contract somewhere.
So it's a great time for everybody but the middle of the country during severe storm season.
Yeah, and that wasn't the timing of the contract and when it expired and the deadline at the end of June was the driving force. We didn't get to say, it's May and it's Oklahoma. It was like, yeah, deal with it. So we dealt with it. I'm proud of how our office did. I'm proud of how the Fort Worth office backing us up, Sam Schamberger, and the Tulsa office backed us up. I mean, it worked out as well as it could. And if people didn't know it was happening, it may have been, other than all the weather radios being off the air for several days, which was amazing to hear how many people were really mad about their weather radio being off the air. Anyway, we could go on and on about that, but yeah, it's something every office is having to do, and we're getting through it.
It is what it is. James Adelot, do you use Red Hat Linux in your office?
We do not have any Linux machines. We have a lot of Windows machines, and anything Mac is stuff that I bring in for the day to use heavily.
Yeah, I don't think we have any Linux boxes at our place. We use Baron, of course, Baron equipment that runs on Windows, and we've gone to a new camera Skycam vendor, and that's a web-based Windows thing. So, and I bring in my Mac stuff, but no Red Hat upgrades for us either. So we don't have to go down for a few days. So you back at work, James? You back working the 9:00 news tonight?
Yes, sir. It's the grueling 2-day work week. So
those are the best.
Yeah, it's tough. Somebody's good. And let me just say, a lot of since we're doing this on a Thursday night, a lot of our folks are not able to join us tonight, but the fearless leaders are all here. And I had a total tragedy, Bill Murray. I had a clothing malfunction today.
Looks like you're wearing a couple of tape measures. What's that about, James?
Well, that's basically it. So this is a big week at our church where I do this big children's event, and I had to really, really, really change quickly from cargo shorts and a T-shirt to a business suit because I volunteer at a hospital, and we had a big meeting today, and you have to kind of look official in a hospital. And as I was putting on the suspenders, the brace button popped off. The two braces buttons. One of them popped. I've never had that happen before. I mean, I'm the captain of the ship here, and I lost a button. So I had to dig through a box of these that kids have given me over the years. I always keep these as a backup, and so we have the clip-on orange star suspenders going on here this week. So the clothing malfunction, I got through it okay. But Bill Murray, let's bring in our guest. This is going to be a fun show tonight.
Yeah, James, I'm really excited. Tonight, our guest WeatherBrain is the creator of Durango Weather Guy, a hyperlocal weather blog that's an essential forecasting source for the residents of the San Juan Mountains in southwest Colorado. A former investment banker turned real estate agent, Jeff taught himself meteorology and now delivers deeply personalized forecasts to nearly the entire population of Durango, Colorado. So, Jeff Gibbons, thank you for joining us. And it's a special night for you because it is your wedding anniversary. And that was poor planning on our part, Jeff. But
that was poor planning. After 29 years, I should remember the date.
But just tell her you wanted to go out on Friday. That you were saving it for tomorrow night.
Well,
Well, tell her thank you for sacrificing tonight for a little bit for us, and we appreciate that. Now I said, to nearly the entire population of Durango. Have you got a few stragglers out there that just won't listen to what you say?
Well, I have people from literally northeast Arizona up to Telluride, Montrose, Pagosa Springs, and to just east of Pagosa. I cover up to Wolf Creek Pass. And do pretty well with my forecasts up there. That's an abandoned area. I really think the National Weather Service in Grand Junction would like to take that because Pueblo struggles with that. That's really out of their area, in my opinion. So things should be divided up a little bit differently over here. But the fact that we don't really have a National Weather Service down here was what motivated me to start this. So I had a love of weather since I was a kid. I grew up in Iowa, and I grew up with severe weather. And I remember, you open up the garage door and look for tornadoes. That's what we did. And that was not a wrong thing to do. In 1970, that's, there they are, and
Yeah, you needed to equalize that air pressure. So the garage door did a great job, and now we know that's a terrible idea.
But weather was everything in Iowa when I was growing up, because I haven't spent a lot of time in Oklahoma. I really love the amount of weather forecasters and the severe storms laboratories, everything being in Oklahoma, in Texas. I do think it's very predictable to some extent versus what happens here. The microclimates that we have here are unbelievable. Trying to predict what a thunderstorm will do, looking at daily models. I don't care the resolution of the model. It can't be right here. So we're just like, okay, throw a dart at it. You're going to get it or you're not going to get it. And the best I can tell you is that it might be north of this line based on what I'm seeing from the models. So yesterday was an example. And I've done this every day. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. We can't pinpoint this, but I would certainly put an umbrella in your car north of Highway 160. Yesterday, the Hermosa area, and the Hermosa area is about 7 miles north of Durango on Highway 550. They got in 22 minutes between 0.40 inches and 1.6 inches of rain. And I didn't, I could hear the thunderstorms booming off about 8 miles north of me in the Hermosa wilderness at about 9,500 feet. I live at 7,600 feet. So it's just very difficult to give people insight during the summer.
And you were naming off places that I adore. And I know that James Adelot adores. I got the privilege in 2001 of building a hotel in Telluride.
Nice.
Which, is just my favorite hotel project I ever got to do. The first time I ever went there, I was so smitten by the beauty. And of course, I fell in love with Durango too. My wife is from Gallup, New Mexico. And of course, they went to Purgatory, which was the name of the ski resort previously, prior to it being renamed. And she loves Durango. And it's just a spectacular place. And James A., you I'm the train fan, but you want to talk about the train.
Yeah, my family and I have been in the Durango area several times on vacation. We absolutely love the mountains in Southwest Colorado.
Tremendous.
And yeah, it's and no humidity, yet you still conjure up some amazing mountain storms. Well, we left Durango and it was already pretty warm. And I don't remember what, it's mid to late morning when we took the train north. And we got to Silverton and I said, wow, there's a lot of tower and queue going up here. And the evaporative cooling from those thunderstorms, we were freezing that afternoon. And then you hop back on the train and ride it back to Durango just as cold and just hunker down. Of course, because we did the outdoor cars because you just need to. And we dried off and got into Durango and it was burning up again. It must have been in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And you're 100% right about the microclimates, both from elevation, valley orientation, you name it. They've got it all.
But
Yeah,
that
you can actually, if you're in Silverton, you could see a temperature drop from 76 degrees to 42 degrees in a strong thunderstorm.
And it hailed on us too.
Well,
It was everything.
hail or grapple. Hail or grapple, James.
We got we got some dimes out of it, so it would have been pretty
Well,
big if it was
yeah.
grapple.
Well, yeah, we don't get a lot of hail. We get a ton of grapple, man. Ton of grapple,
so
which is
Jeff,
good for our cars.
that's true. Stay away from the hail. So Jeff, you said you mentioned that you grew up in Iowa. So and you mentioned tornadoes. One of my favorite books growing up, and I ran to try to find it. I couldn't find it in my library. Was Iowa Tornadoes, that little skinny book that had all kind of great tornado stories and pictures in it. I bet Rick Smith knows what I'm talking about.
I bet I
Um,
would love that book, but I've never heard of it.
well, I'll have to get it for you because sometimes it'll
Yeah.
pop up on eBay, and it's every famous story through the probably late 1960s, maybe early 1970s. And I probably checked it out of the library way too many times when I was 10, 12 years old because it was chock full of these spectacular pictures of these Iowa tornadoes. So, were there any Iowa tornadoes that stood out in your memory that really shaped your weather interest?
I couldn't put a name on a tornado. When do I mean we started naming weather things not too long ago. So I remember watching tornadoes drop and pop up all the time from my driveway in West Des Moines, Iowa. But I was fortunate enough not to have that affect, anyone I knew. Typically, it would be in more rural areas that the big Iowa tornadoes would hit. But I mean, yeah, I can't remember a devastation.
So Jeff, how did you train yourself? You obviously became very knowledgeable. Talk about that process for a moment because it can be done.
Yeah, interesting. I always loved the weather as a kid. Um, I grew up in a family that we went to Colorado to ski. And I grew up skiing in Vail in the 1970s. And I was amazed at how much snow could fall, just randomly in Colorado. So I was always excited about that. So pretty much at that point in my life, I decided I wanted to get back to Colorado. And I permanently moved to Colorado in 1992. At the age, well, I won't say. And I was amazed by the weather, but it wasn't until really I got married, which was 29 years ago. And I started talking to my wife about the weather a lot, and she got sick of it. And she said, maybe you should talk to somebody else about it. And finally, in 2008, I believe, I started the Durango Snow Lovers page on Facebook. And nobody really cared. I got a couple thousand followers, and then we had the fires in 2018.
They were terrible.
And it was horrible. And I wanted to reach out to more people at that point. And between the National Fire Service and using scans from the planes and using GIS, and I was able to pinpoint people's homes that had been evacuated, that were worried that their homes were burned down, because there was very little information coming out about the fire. So my following went from like 1,000 to 6,000 on Facebook in a couple months. And it just kind of kept growing. I got some media. A year and a half later, I built a very ugly website, and it's still ugly, and it's not flashy. And I'm not going to pay a bunch of money for somebody to make it flashy, because I think the people that follow me like that it's not flashy, and I just give them the information.
It's a WordPress website. I mean, how fancy do you need to be, Jeff?
I'm sure, man, you can make them so flashy if you got the right guy or girl to fix them up for you. Absolutely, you could make them fancy. Most websites are WordPress, but I'm not going to do that right now. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see. I've had a dozen or more people say, let's build an app. And then I'm like, no, I'm not going to build an app to give you the same information that you get from every app, where the data is sourced from the same places that every app is sourced from. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, man.
That's pretty cool. So, when she told you to talk to someone who cared, was she talking about going to a commercial audience, or just find a new friend maybe that had a little more interest in weather?
Debatable. Debatable, Bill. I'm not sure.
Well, has she been amazed at the complexity that goes into it? Because I think that was, for my wife, the biggest
Yeah.
thing, because she saw the amount of time and effort and discernment that it took to make a forecast, and that sort of surprised her. And maybe that would surprise most lay people when they first, see what you're doing, because there's a tremendous amount of information that we have to sift through, and pattern recognition, and then using our intuition and our knowledge and experience to read those patterns and make forecasts. And so that I'm sure she had to be impressed by what you learned and what you've been able to do.
Of course. Yeah. She has been, and I've got nothing but positive feedback from most of my followers on that. But everybody's got to know, I am not Rick. I'm not James. I'm not James. I'm not Bill. I mean, and you got like 13 other people that I'm not. I'm just a guy, I'm just a guy, and I'm trying to do my best, and I will never pretend to be any one of you guys. And
Well, but
you've
I mean,
gone through
obviously,
to be
you're
there.
having a lot of success reaching your audience, Jeff. So, talk about what makes your forecast successful.
My forecast successful
Well, your information you
on what
present.
level?
Why people tune in to what and subscribe to your forecasts and your
That's
information.
a different question. That's a different question, Bill. There's one question was, what makes my forecast successful? And I do fairly well in the winter. Okay, when I combine a lot of models, high resolution and low resolution, as low as the Canadian, because it does tremendously well in the higher elevations here. NBM does very well. The European is strong here. I don't want to talk about the GFS.
Uh-oh.
Right?
Don't say anything bad about the GFS. One of our
I know. I know. I can see.
one
Four
of one
people
of our
staring
panelists
back at me saying, "Don't talk about the GFS." And you know what? The GFS is tremendous weather model. Not here. Not here. Not here. So, and I would actually challenge James A. the next time he's in the Durango area to pull up a GFS forecast before he goes out on the train with no windows and see how well that freaking works out for him.
You better use the NBM, James. That's the advice I'm hearing here.
And well, the NBM is great. It's just so smooth. It's like, okay, it's going to be great for everybody,
I think that was Jeff's idea, was to make it smooth for everybody. The
well, that's
smooth
kind of
jazz of models.
what that's the NBM. It's like, oh, there you go. And see, we don't even have points of, I mean, it's like I would challenge all of you to pull up Colorado on the GFS or the Euro or Canadian and see how many points you have to reference. And then take that back through the model's resolution and then try and figure out how in the hell, based on the topography, you are ever going to make a forecast for this area. I mean, what is the resolution for the GFS? Gentlemen, is it, I think It's 9 miles. Is it 9 miles?
I'm going to defer to Rick here.
I would say 6 miles on the European.
Oh, I should know that. Yeah.
Oh,
The horizontal resolution on the GFS is 28 kilometers out to 10 days, which is 18 miles, and 70 kilometers between 10 and 16 days, 64 layers. So
That's what I was
44
about
miles.
to say.
that's
That's what I was
extended.
about to say.
So that's extended.
I just wanted to beat you to the punch, Rick.
That would be worthless. But I think they're short. I do think they are 9 miles on the dailies. So, and I think the Euro is 6 miles on the dailies, including the rapid refresh. But we don't even call it that anymore, do we? Just, okay. James, Rick, do we call it the rapid refresh anymore, or is it just the latest Euro?
Oh, no, it's still the her. It's still the high resolution.
High
rapid refresh.
resolution rapid refresh.
Yep.
Okay.
And
But not for
it's
no, not the HRR. I'm talking about the
the
Euro.
new Euro. I haven't paid
New
attention
Euro,
to any of
yeah.
their big upgrade things. We need Dr. Neil on the show, James man.
We do.
We
I'll
need
come
our
back and talk
we
to
need our
Dr.
model czar here tonight to
because
talk models
because
with
I want
you.
to find out. I can't. Apparently, I can't just believe Joe Bastardi. So,
Oh yeah, there you go. We'll get Dr. Neil back when he gets confirmed by the Senate, and we can go from there.
wait, which Dr. Neil is that? Because we've had some good Dr. Neils in the past.
Yeah, so yeah, you remember Dr. Neil Frank from the National Hurricane Center?
Yes.
He's pretty famous, but he plays a lot of golf now. Our Dr. Neil is the model czar, who is
Okay.
has been what would the word be, nominated as the
We're not going to tell anybody that Jeff doesn't know who Neil Jacobs is. We're going to keep that on the sly here. He's going to be the administrator at NOAA, the
That's right.
tallest hog in the trough, the big kahuna.
I have tremendous faith.
And so we're gonna see if he can if he can continue to keep some sanity going inside the government. But you've mentioned a lot of the challenges there. Topography obviously is one of those. What are some of your other biggest forecast challenges in those San Juan Mountains, Jeff?
I mean that is the base of all of it, Bill. I mean, the topography affects everything. That's why there was one area in Hermosa that had 4/10 of an inch of rain, and another one that had 1.59 inches. It's orographics. It 550, as some of you know, goes straight up, and you've got elevation on either side, and depending on where the storm forms and where the flow is, basically, it increases the orographics. So, and tell me if I'm wrong. Am I wrong? James Spann, am I wrong?
I don't think so.
Okay. It's amazingly different in the winter, because it's so much more enhanced. And the higher total that I just mentioned in northwest Hermosa, Colorado, was set up next to the foothills. And actually, it's a huge orographic gain. This weather station is at 6,700 feet. And then it just goes straight up. And he will get 3 times as much snow as a neighbor 1 mile away. So that's why it is so difficult here. I live in an area called Durango West 2. If you've been to Durango and you head west on 160 and drive out of Durango, 9 miles, you will see turnoffs to Durango West 2. We are between 1,000 and 1,200 feet higher than the city of Durango. And we get twice as much snow at a minimum than the city of Durango does. So I had 3 years ago, I had 265 inches at my house of snow, and it was up to my roof.
Wow. We need that kind of snow, James, man.
No, we don't. No.
And have you seen snow patterns change over the past few decades since you moved there? Jeff, have things changed?
I have seen snow patterns change with Enzo, essentially. I mean, it's been crazy. And it is not what you think. I mean, I get so sick of all the clickbait things that, well, it's El Nino, so you know what that's gonna be, none of that shit matters here. What happens here is Enzo neutral. And if we can stay between -4 and +4 on Enzo, we're going to have a big winter. It's happened historically since the early 70s, 72, 73, when Purgatory got 520 inches of snow. Okay, no, those were rough figures because nobody gave a crap at Purgatory or in Durango at that point. And there were no standardized measuring things. Actually, there were measuring processes in place from I don't remember who put those in place. I believe that the city tried to do that, but they stopped taking all measurements in like 2006. So it's just like difficult. So now I rely on all of the outlets that are machine monitored, so I don't know.
So Jeff, snow's obviously important, but Durango's a year-round resort. Summer's big. Has that evolved for you? Do you do a lot of forecasts for weddings and summer events, festivals, things like that too?
I do. I do get hired for wedding events at Purgatory and wedding events in Telluride. And uh, it's fun, actually, to interact with all of these followers and stay in touch with them on a daily basis. But essentially, you got bride mothers that are very nervous. And, they're like, how can it rain on July 4th in Telluride in the afternoon? So it rains in the mountains of the San Juans nearly every day in the summer. So it doesn't take a whole lot. It doesn't, I mean, convection pops up as early as 10:45 in the morning, 11 o'clock, Purgatory. You got all these people coming to Purgatory to visit, and they eat their big breakfast in Durango, and then they show up at Purgatory to do the slide and do all that stuff. And it starts raining at 11:15, 11:30, and they're like, what the hell? So,
and of course, hiking is a big thing in that area, and that can be very dangerous, Jeff.
Can be,
with
I
lightning in the summer.
More dangerous, I think, with all of our visitors than our residents. Our residents are pretty adept on that, And I do get people hiring me for the Leadville 100 too, the flat run. So that's a crazy race, the 100-mile run. If you guys aren't familiar with that through the San Juans.
Yeah, you mentioned, and it was always shocking to me, not shocking, but I learned so much about this, these microclimates and what you're talking about when I was there, because, you could have a thunderstorm on the other side of the mountain and not be able to hear the thunder until it came over the ridge. And I never believed that could be possible until I lived it there in Telluride. And I put in the chat the hotel that I got to do there. It was the most fun I ever had in the hotel business. Was doing that little hotel because it was right in the middle of downtown Telluride, which is a spectacular place, like Durango is, and it really was amazing fun. And it hasn't changed. I got to go back to Mountain Film a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, it was such a nice hotel. It sold about 2 years later. And I hated that because it was one of my favorite places to go. But Telluride's an easy place to get in and out of. It's not a cheap place to live for sure. But it sure is a beautiful place.
It's a beautiful place to visit. When was the last time you were there?
I think Mountain Film in about 2012 probably was the last time I was there, and that is an extremely underrated film festival. Memorial Day weekend, if you ever get a chance to go, the venues, the Labor Day Film Festival is a world-class film festival, and you have Hollywood stars that come, but the Memorial Day Film Festival is all adventure films and really spectacular type films if you're into that, and you're going to have a great time, and it's not a bunch of paparazzi and a bunch of crazy stuff. You're going to have fun for that. Probably the most famous thing, the first night I ever got there, they were having a Bob Dylan concert in Town Park. And, some friends said, hey, let's go to the Bob Dylan concert. And one of those thunderstorms rolled over Town Park during the middle of the concert, and he broke right into a hard rain's gonna fall. Right as the storm broke, and it couldn't have been more perfect. Jeff,
That's cool.
that was just one of my most memorable experiences. So, um, talk about one of your most memorable forecasts. What was one that stands out to you?
Oh man. Most of them revolve around snow at Wolf Creek ski area. And for the most part, nobody, well, I would say, using the Canadian and the NBM, there are times that I have forecasted 7 feet or more of snow at Wolf Creek ski area, and it's happened.
I remember driving over Wolf Creek Pass and that just being such a beautiful place there between Durango and Alamosa, I guess. We drove, I want to say, we were there on September 11th in 2001. And
Yeah.
I had a colleague that really, really wanted to get back home because his wife was petrified. I couldn't leave. But he wanted to go home. And of course, no planes were flying after that morning. And of course, we heard that you could jump on the Amtrak at Raton, and so I hopped in the car and I was going to drive him to Raton. And I think we may have started out, I don't know, going to Farmington, and then we reversed course and went over Wolf Creek Pass. And I thought, what a spectacular place. We drove all over northern New Mexico and southern Colorado over about a 2-day period to finally have them start flying again on Saturday or Friday and get him out of Albuquerque. But it was truly planes, trains, and automobiles. But I got to see some beautiful territory there. The desert, high desert, I guess. I may not be saying that right, but of northern New Mexico around Raton.
It's correct. I mean, it's
And
high desert, and you might be giving it more credit.
well, I was referring more
And
to
I
Alamosa.
would, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't
I don't know
want to
about Alamosa maybe so
criticize
much,
New
but
Mexico, but there's a reason the second you leave it, it says "Welcome to Colorado." So
yeah, that was what my wife always said too. She said, I think who was that? Freddie Prinze Jr. said he was from New Mexico, and he said, the tags say "Land of Enchantment," but he said they really meant "Land of Entrapment." So she said there was some truth to that, but
they don't got a lot going for them, and we really worry about those yellow license plates driving around Durango. I'll tell you.
so Jeff, why do you think small towns become so attached to their weather guy? You're Durango's weather guy. I mean, literally to the point that I saw you in Outside Magazine, and I thought, oh, what a cool story.
There is nobody to represent small towns in Southwest Colorado. I am not going to talk to problems we've had with National Weather Service because it's all fixed. everything's all fixed, and I couldn't be more delighted. I was a bit of a rebel when I started this in engaging the National Weather Service in Grand Junction, because we were all but forgotten. And it's changed, and I am so happy to get the positive feedback, to get to know friends in that office, to get those people to literally reach out to me and ask me to be an ambassador for their office. So things are changing, and I'm very happy.
The men and women of the National Weather Service are a professional, responsive organization. We've seen it in our CWA. James Spann sometimes is a squeaky wheel. And, when he has concerns, he voices them. And the Weather Service in Birmingham, James, I think you'd say, like what Jeff has said, has responded and in amazing ways, in a lot of ways, with Kevin
Very
Laws and his
responsive.
team.
Very responsive. Yeah, very responsive. It's like we're all trying to do the same thing here, and people have different opinions about the right way to do it, the wrong way to do it. But the Weather Service offices I deal with, they're very responsive, and we all understand we're on the same team. We're trying to accomplish the same goal. It's to protect life, during high impact events, during routine days, provide decent products and services, and try and be a voice of reason in a world of insanity. Throughout the socials. So yeah, we get together, we get along fine. It's a great relationship.
Everybody loves Rick's office, so he doesn't have any problems like that, right?
No
Rick?
haters, not one hater.
Not a single one. Yeah, just a very rare phenomenon in the Weather Service.
Hey, Rick, I have a question for you. What is going on with the Durango weather radar? That there was a grant to pay for, and nobody in the world believes that this weather radar, this $7 million weather radar that is horrible, is even tied into the National Weather Service or the Severe Storms Laboratory like we were promised. All of my followers want to know why this radar is so messed up. It doesn't do, it's actually, we were better with the radar from Grand Junction that couldn't detect anything below 22,000 feet.
This is going to sound like a government answer, but it's the honest truth. I have no idea.
And
I mean,
bet
we're
you
very.
I do understand, sir.
Yeah,
I
honestly.
just pulled it up. It's the La Plata County. Am I saying that right, Jeff?
Yeah, La Plata.
La Plata
Like
County has
La Plata.
partnered with the Colorado Department of Local Affairs, Colorado Water
Okay.
Conservation Board, the Colorado Division of Homeland Security, Emergency Management to acquire, install, and operate a permanent weather radar in southwest Colorado, adjacent to the Durango La Plata County Airport. It's owned by La Plata County.
Is it like a Barron radar?
It appears to be a Barron radar.
So kind of like the Durant radar in our area. It's similar. Yeah.
It does.
Interesting.
It appears to be the Barron app widgets running the website. So that's a quality radar, Jeff.
So Jeff, is it just not?
Yeah. What kind of issues are you having?
Is it just not up? Is it just not running reliably?
It's got a tree right outside it that's blocking the beam, it looks like.
That could be a problem.
And a
Alamosa
mountain
has
or
got no data.
maybe a mountain or two.
Yeah, maybe a mountain. That's true.
The
Not a
whole
tree.
the whole reason they did this was because there was a mountain or two. So they put it on a foothill at about 7,500 feet. So we weren't supposed to get the block from the San Juans that we've always had. But nobody can access this radar. When they do, they get nothing they can understand. I guess they all hoped it would be in some type of app that would be more relatable, like Weather Underground radar or something like that. That would
Radar scope, or yeah.
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 This is
It's
just
here on
kind of
this. It's here
sit
on this
down.
website. It's
And
you know.
it doesn't have any interpretation.
Well, it
It's worse
has
than
reflectivity. And I think is that all you get out of Durant, Rick, on that little app? Is it reflectivity? Or
I think you can get some velocity
Some
data
velocity.
on the app on the
Yeah, I think that's
website,
right.
but it's smoothed and it's not
So-
great. We've been
so-
able to get some of the Durant radar data in GR, but it's been kind of spotty this spring.
We need
So,
to put our friend Chase Wilson up at Tennessee Valley Weather Authority in touch with you, Jeff. Maybe he could help you get that into GR.
Man, it's not me. It is not me.
But
I
you know,
was yelling.
we can put in a
I
good.
was on the early. I was on the early group of people to do this, and
Yeah.
I saw what they were showing, and they fired me pretty quickly, and then fired the people that I was talking to that were doing a great job. And now we just got this thing that's really not serving the community. So that's what, I can tell you my 20,000 Facebook followers want me to ask this question. My 20,000 website subscribers want me to ask this question. What the hell is wrong with this radar? And can anybody fix it? And I imagine they could. When I was originally part of this, there were so many smart people. Not me, but there were like 3 people from the NSSL that were on the conference call, and they were picking sites and they were going through stuff, and then nothing really happened. And so, and I'm trying to be objective. Can there actually be accurate radar here?
Oh, yeah, you've got a nice radar there, Jeff. Now, I don't know that you're getting access to all the data. You got a nice barren radar there. I'm asking a couple of questions right now, and we'll kind of circle back to it. But I think you got a nice radar there.
Yeah, the issue with radars like this is it's really the Weather Service is kind of hands off when it comes to that. I mean, we're consumers of the data just like you are. I mean, it's owned by whoever it's owned by, and Barron is their technical support. And we're going through this with the Durant, Oklahoma radar in southeast Oklahoma. There's IT issues, technical issues, but the Weather Service is just as desperate for that data in our case as everybody else is. So it's really back to the people that own the radar, that purchase the radar, that have the contract with Barron or whoever Because that's a nice radar from what I'm seeing in the
Oh,
chat.
yeah.
That's a
Wow.
legit radar.
It's a legit
Great.
radar, and the reflectivity looks beautiful on it. There's a lot of showers tonight down around Los Alamos and Espanola in northern New Mexico that are showing up beautifully. Um, so yeah, I think it's just an issue of getting the data in your hands,
Yeah.
Jeff. It looks beautiful, and it looks like every
I
other Baron. Is that a C class or X class right there, James, Rick? What kind of radar are we looking at in that? I bet Chase would know.
Probably a C band.
Yeah, I would think so too. And so y'all talk for a second. Rick, why don't you ask a question, or James A, and I'll
I
ask Chase Wilson a quick question.
I would say one quick thing. The fact that all of you experts have said that this is a wonderful radar is great. So the information is just not coming to our residents.
Yeah,
And
you got it. You got a website there. It's got reflectivity on it. That's decent. If you want to get past reflectivity, they would have I don't know how that data gets to you, but I'm gonna ask Chase about whether that can actually get into Radar Omega or Radar Scope or any of those kind of programs where you could access it better, Jeff.
Yeah, it's a challenge when you have opportunities to get a radar in one of these spots that needs one, and then you get the funding, and then you get the radar. Then the reality hits that there's so much more involved in it. The IT infrastructure to serve up the data. Who's going to serve up the data? Is it going to come like in Durant? The city of Durant is serving up the data, so that has to somehow get to back and forth between Barron and GR, and we had the data in GR for a while, and then they're having some issues there. There's so much upkeep, and then the maintenance and everything. It's like, yes, we're going to get a radar in this spot, and it sounds like the answer to all of our prayers, but it's so much more complicated than that. And it sounds like your radar there in the Durango area may be a similar situation where it's just like there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of moving pieces that have to come together to make all this work. And it's not just flipping a switch and, oh, there's the data. It's complex for sure. So I hope you can get that worked out though, because it is a great radar.
Yeah, it's no better than when we had the mobile radar that was set up on the foothills after the fire to detect thunderstorms for flood risks with the burn scar. It's really the reflection we see is no different than that little thing they drive up there with a truck and put it up at 8,000 feet and look down at the valley. And you guys know that mobile radar more than I do. The one they drag around from Oklahoma and put up here and there. Maybe not.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Okay.
I was looking for a spot to jump in here, and Chase was chiming in. He says, "Yeah, your data can actually be pulled into any of these programs. It's just the owner of the radar's willingness to do it. All the data is spit out in the format, which is compressed level 2 NextRed format data, just like any other C-band radar." And so it can be done with no problem. It just comes down to how the owner wants to share it or is willing to share it, and get it into the programs. And so, this radar doesn't go out for long distances, but you don't want it to.
No, we don't.
Jeff, you don't need it to go 250 miles.
Yeah,
You just need it to go 70 miles, and
yes.
that's all you need. And like tonight, the reflectivity looks fine to me. On the website.
Yeah, nothing going on tonight. I mean,
Yeah, just those few light showers. So I'm going to be really interested to watch this radar over the next few weeks after you brought this to our attention.
I wouldn't watch it for the next 10 days because
Yeah.
nothing's going to
Yeah,
happen.
when the monsoon pattern kicks in and all the summer thunderstorms start going, then it'll be
Yeah.
interesting. But at least
But,
there's
man,
I'll
you guys haven't probably looked down at us, but you talk about hot and dry coming for the next 10
oh
days.
yeah, it's
It's
getting to be that time, isn't it?
crazy.
Ugh.
It'd be crazy.
Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention because, those radars are good. They're not, they're not inexpensive and they're well built and they're quality radars. We know the people that make them, and that's a
Well,
good
I'm
buy there.
very,
It's just
very happy to hear it's a great radar, and I can't wait to pass that on
yeah, it's just getting
to
that
all
data
my
out and
followers.
making it useful, to
But then
to
they're
the
going to
youth.
find somebody else to blame, me or
Well,
they'll blame somebody.
yeah, you're like us, Jeff. You're one of those troublemakers.
Yeah, or
But
am I a disruptor? Is that the
yeah,
cool?
that's it. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But
Now that I'm
they may not
I'm a
know
disruptor.
they may not know what they have and what they've got, and they may still be
Yeah,
trying to figure it out. So, you know,
that would be
uh,
my guess. That would
but
be my guess with the people owning and operating this radar is they don't know what they got, and um, we just need more bike lanes.
and so usually you're using what radar is most useful to you, Jeff?
To
Is it
me, it's
Grand Junction or Albuquerque or what?
well, yeah. I mean, I use the blends. I mean, Wonderground does a good blend. Um, actually, Nine News out of Denver had a decent like triangle blend uh, that they would do, but nothing is good here. Nothing really is good. I mean, it's in
Well,
the winter.
this
You can't use radar in the winter because you can't. I mean, 27,000 feet, you're not going to get a whole lot that's going on orographically. In the summer, yeah, you can get some boomers going at it. You can get some thunderstorms popping up, and I don't care where you are. I mean, at a certain point, if that thing builds big enough, am I right, James Spann? Or are you sick, James? What do you think? If it builds big enough, even on a bad radar, and it's over the top of you, do you think that you should? I mean, that to me seems like, you know,
Well, the question apparently, I think what everybody's saying, the radar's fine. It
yeah,
might be the display that you're seeing, or it might be some type of orographic situation. But I think what we're trying to say, the radar's fine. Bill Murray, don't you agree with that? I mean,
Yeah, no, I
it's
think you
fine.
got a
yeah,
new, beautiful new
that's
radar,
yeah.
and it's a great gap filling radar. And
Okay, here's what
we got to get the data and a piece of software that you can use that's
let's
useful.
okay, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is the other radars that are out of our area
Oh yeah, nothing you can do about that.
that produce the spread, sometimes they are helpful because if you see a monster thunderstorm being picked up on that, of course, it's going to be higher than the minimum range of that radar. So, yeah, I think that's helpful. And you can't necessarily rule it out, when you get something popping 45,000 feet, which is unusual here, but it does happen.
And I've got a friend who, if you get to a point where y'all want somebody to talk to, he really is a Michelangelo of weather radars, Jeff, and he'll be a huge help to you if you need him. I've got his email address. Just reach out to me. He's a young man who's literally a genius with weather radars, and he's very, very familiar with this type of radar, and would be thrilled to help you in any way. So just let me know there. So talk about going forward, Jeff. What you going to do? Going to go get that formal meteorology degree, get you a couple of seals, or just keep loving life and doing what you're doing?
I don't know, man. I'm going to be 61 years old.
You're a kid.
That's right,
Okay,
Chase
old
fan.
man.
That's
Got
right.
underwear older than you.
Bullshit. You don't have underwear older. But I got a lot on my plate, man. I got a lot on my plate. It was my 29th wedding anniversary today, and my wife has advanced Parkinson's disease, and she didn't know. And I wasn't sure if I would tell her or not, because I didn't want her to feel bad for not remembering. So, but I did tell her, and she was happy for a little bit. I've thought about the probably worthless Penn State
Their certificate?
forecaster degree. Yeah.
No, I don't think that's worthless at all. I think that would be very
Oh boy,
worthwhile.
I'm glad Jen's not on the show.
Yeah. Her head would have exploded. No,
But
it's not worthless, Jeff. It's
uh,
certainly a good program,
but
and one you would enjoy and one you'd benefit from for
I
sure.
would enjoy it. But I'm not sure how I would benefit from it.
What you're doing right now is great, and I found you an outdoor magazine. I mean, come on, they thought enough of you to write a story, and you are part of this new hyper local process. We had these folks that are charting new courses in weather. We had a young man named Max Schuster. James, I knew his name, but I didn't want to say it the other night. But it was in this new article today in Wired magazine, so I feel like I can say it. And his name Max Velocity is not his real name, obviously.
I was going to ask him why did you go with a fake name?
One of his
I'll ask him
listeners
next time he's on the
suggested
show.
it. That he said that. That's how he came
think I'm
up
going
with
to
the
change
name.
my name.
Yeah, what would
I need
yours
a cool
be?
name like that. Well,
Well,
I got to think. I'm not creative. I'm not
that sounds
creative.
too much like Capital Weather Gang to me.
Yeah, well, but million followers on X later or YouTube or whatever, he's knocking down multi $1,000 per stream amounts of money. No telling, and the kid just now graduating from college, and he was
Nothing
sharp.
wrong with that.
I mean, he's super sharp. He has a professional presentation, and he does a good job, and he has a tremendous.
Jeff, are you a
following.
YouTuber?
Man, I'm trying to be, but I'm stupid with that stuff.
Show title.
I literally have a book on YouTube videos for dummies. Man, I'm trying to get on that. And this is huge for me. I've got all my screens behind me, which is cool. I've got a webcam in front of me that lights me. And I have a small monitor so that I can see what I look like when I look at the camera that's right in front of me. So I'm not good at this stuff at all. And I get all these people that they're like, no, we're going to make you good at it. And I got to get better at it. But it's kind of terrifying. I don't know.
No, I always think about Homer Simpson when he changed his name to Max Power, and everybody liked him so much better when he was Max Power. I think that's what that may worked well for Max Velocity too. That's a pretty cool name. You have to admit, James Spann. You have a pretty cool name too, James Spann. Though I mean, your name's
No,
not
Yeah,
no,
you
it's
know,
like James Storm or
or as Rick said,
light,
debris ball.
yeah, debris. We all ought to have fake names on the show here. We should change our name and just become whatever we want to be. That'd be good.
James,
Now, I
you're
don't. I don't
really
understand yours,
at the
James.
studio.
Please explain yours to me. I want to get second trip echo. I guess it'll occur to me in
Oh,
a minute.
just the velocity. It's actually an artifact of velocity when you
Oh,
get
okay.
the return from the first pulse back when you're listening for the second pulse.
Did
Usually
you get
happens
that
only
right
on
away, James
velocity.
Spann?
No,
No, that was over my head. James is always over my head. It takes me a second on his puns. I have to wait on the second trip echo. That's a perfect name for you, James. What we're going to do, Jeff, we haven't really tried to successfully monetize this show. We're just going to put James A's puns in a chat, and then we think we can
But the
make a
idea is
lot
to
of.
get money, not have to pay penalties because of these stupid jokes.
Well, we wish the best
So
to your wife, Jeff, and
I do have a question though.
yeah.
James Spann has a little Jim Cantori thing.
They're good friends. They are really good friends.
Yeah.
we're both good-looking guys. I mean, what can I say? I mean, we struggle with the hair situation, but so what? Hair is overrated. Bill Murray and hair is overrated.
No
I don't
question
even
about it.
know how to operate a comb.
Look.
I'd have to get an instruction
I
manual.
haven't used shampoo since 1983.
So
Yeah.
just to be clear, yeah.
That's pretty good hair right there, Jeff.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Not quite as good
that
as
real,
James
or
A's,
is that
but it's
is that
pretty
a
good.
tope, or is that real?
Oh, that's what I got left. That's what it
Wow.
is. My brother's bald and he's 71. So, but he's been bald since he was 45. So,
Yeah, I think you got the other parents' genes right there.
I don't know.
Now one thing
So
about the mountains of
let's hear your social media strategy, Jeff. You say you're
yeah.
struggling with YouTube, and what? How do you reach people? You mentioned you got a website. Is that it, or do you use social at all?
I just started using social again, and it's been crazy because I had 18,000 Facebook followers. And I just started posting all the time on Facebook on my weather page, which is Durango Snow Lovers, Durango's Weather by Jeff Gibbons. And Facebook sent me a thing today. No, I just ramped this up, boys, like a week ago. And Facebook sent me a thing today that said, you are one of Facebook's top creators this week. And I'm like, what the hell?
Well, did they send you a big check or what?
No, hell no. No. But I did start another website or another Facebook page for stock trading. And I've grown that thing to 40 followers.
40.
40 whole followers. Yeah, man.
There you go.
To talk
Buy
to
low
them.
and sell high. How about that? That's the only advice I know. Buy low,
Well,
sell high.
what I've done is I've bought high and sold low the whole time. And it's not working out so good. So
No.
All right, James A., you got a story, a Colorado weather story.
Okay, and it's kind of
nice.
to fold into Rick and Oklahoma City too. The big cold front of record here is 100 plus years old. Veterans Day, not at the time. I guess it was 11/11 of 1911. And Oklahoma City is one of the only stations from that where the record high set before the front came through is still on the books. The record low was set before midnight after the front came through. And it's one of the only records still standing that has the same record high and low. But just east of where Jeff is in Alamosa, they set a record high and low on the same date in 2020. But they had done that 3 days in a row in 2002, August 24th, 25th, and 26th, with lows around freezing and highs in the mid to upper 80s. But Alamosa, because that was one of these family trips, we did Great Sand Dunes National Park, and I still think I'm have sand grains coming out of my head from tumbling down one of those things on a sled. But it is fascinating how fast that little valley not only heats up but cools down. And it is a the microclimates around there are just amazing. But Alamosa is just bone dry. It is nearly completely surrounded. The Rio Grande goes out the south side of that valley. And but yeah, that's my Alamosa story. And on the Pueblo National Weather Service page, because one of their meteorologists was made a post about the record high low in 2020, and I sent him a note saying, hey, look into 2002 when they set the record high and low 3 days in a row. And so I'm on the Pueblo National Weather Service page as thanks to James A. Lott's assistance. I'm like, hey, there's my name. Where did so
Nice.
yeah, who knew?
Usually, I post and they get pissed at me because I'm like, why are you issuing a winter weather advisory for 4 to 20 inches?
That would shut us
Well,
down for a
yes,
year.
I know. What the
Two
hell are you
years.
doing? What is this blanket advisory doing? 4 to 20 inches? Are you kidding me? You know, either get some or just hand it over to Grand Junction. I mean, we got to have some redistricting because these guys they hate it. I know the National Weather Service guys in Pueblo, they hate having to deal with this. And a couple times I've seen Grand Junction come out and say, up to Wolf Creek Pass. And they're not supposed to do that, but they do it anyway because it's so stupid what Pueblo does. So I don't know. You guys didn't bring me on here to just filter, right?
Nope. We're a no filter show.
Okay.
Yeah. Right, James Finn? No
Jeff, you got
filter.
any haters?
Do I have haters?
Yes.
Hell yeah. I have a lot of haters.
Well, why do they hate you?
Because they concoct something about if I talk about the weather being normal, then I am not sensitive to global warming.
Oh, so James, he's got haters too.
If I just talk about, this is not unusual. This shit has happened before. It always happens. It happens, and it's not because we're going into some damn global crisis. You can look. Some of my followers are going to hate this too. But there's cycles. It's very difficult to talk about normal weather in my area because my area is based upon extremes. That's how we get the averages, because we have extremes. So the averages don't seem correct ever because we have so many extremes, because of the area that we live in. Anybody want to touch that?
No, no, no. We don't touch that with a 10-foot pole.
We are a
here.
climate-free zone on this show.
We are a political freeze zone. We don't do politics here. We don't
Did
get
they
into
put chemtrails in your
controversy.
sky? Did they put chemtrails in your sky too?
Man, I see stuff online and they're like, oh, look, they're heavily spraying today. I'm like, oh man, don't make it worse. Don't make it worse.
Right.
But yeah, I see that shit all the time. I don't. It doesn't make sense to me
All right.
that anybody would try.
And by the way, for when the FCC
No
shuts us down,
comments.
because this does air on television, it's Jeff at jeff.com. And so, Jeff, if people want to follow you, how do they do that? The plug away. This is your chance to plug. So go.
DurangoWeatherGuy.com.
So you don't want to do the socials. You want to do the old-fashioned website, right?
What do you want me to do? Put a link?
No, just no. We'll put the link up on WeatherBrains.com. And do you have any social media accounts you want to plug?
I would like to plug Durango Snow Lovers at Facebook.
Okay, on Facebook, Durango Snow Lovers. You got it. Well, Jeff, thanks for your time, and we're going to do that. That's your pick of the week, by the way. And we do not. And for those again that are listening here or just joining us live, we're doing a Thursday night special, which means we do not have an email segment tonight with Jen being out. And we do not have Tony Rice or Jen's audio segments this week. So we're just going to go flow right into picks of the week here. So that, Jeff, is your pick of the week, your social media account and the website. Rick Smith, you want to do a pick of the week? Got one for us this week on a Thursday night?
Yeah, absolutely. Weather community lost a legend recently with Gary England, a famous Oklahoma City TV meteorologist, passing away. So my pick of the week is just one of scores of articles that were written about him. I picked this one because it gets into some of the weather service relationships with Gary England. And if you think some of the Oklahoma City TV stuff is out there now, there used to be open warfare between Gary England and the Weather Service in Oklahoma City and Norman. So this article has a link within the article to an extensive audio video interview with Gary England where he details some of that stuff. It's just fascinating to see how far we've come. But Gary was a good partner, good friend of the Weather Service, and we'll miss him for sure.
And I will say, Rick, my pick, it's the last Gary England appearance on this show, on WeatherBrains, which was the 22nd of July, 2014. This was 11 years ago. And again, he's a weather warrior. I mean, he's been fighting the battles in the trenches for a long, long time in one of the most active weather markets in the United States. And he was a pioneer in so many different ways. And again, I love what we've done here. One cool thing about being here so long, we've been here since 2006. Over these last 19 years, we've been able to bring in some of these legendary meteorologists, not just broadcast, but government, all these folks that have been on the show. And we've got that for history's sake. People can look back and listen, and they talk about their careers and their lives. And I love that about this show. And again, he was last on 443, episode 443 back in 2014. So that'll be my pick. James Adelot, got one for us this week?
I do. Mine is Jen's Tornado Talk. Look back at the Drumright, Oklahoma tornado of June 8th, 1974. And that is one of my foundational memories as a little kid growing up in Tulsa. And it was that tornado outbreak. And the first tornado of that outbreak struck the National Weather Service office at Will Rogers Airport in Oklahoma City.
Wow. So I must ask, how old were you in 1974?
I was 5 for that outbreak. And
Wow.
yeah, I remember being herded by like a little flock of chickens into the hall by my mother when it was coming into Tulsa.
So I'm
Yeah,
not
that
the
can be.
youngest guy here.
James really is a kid. All right, Bill Murray, give us your pick and promote shows to come.
Yeah, James, you picked the seminal episode of Gary England, that 443, which is just one of my favorite episodes of all time. You know, and it's really, really super. He also appeared on 745. So if you get a chance, go back and see that one too. But I was always so honored to talk to Gary because, he was one of those Hall of Famers, James, like you. And he just was the stuff of legends. And Rick shared internally today a video that was so cool, and that he did for Rick's daughter, and it made me cry, Rick. It was just cool. And Rick, you're kind of muted, so I don't want to lose your comment there.
No, that was amazing. Yeah, my daughter was on a Palm Squad and they had a weather theme thing, and I just on the off chance thinking, well, it won't hurt. All he can say is no, so I asked Gary to do a little video to introduce their Palm banquet, and I wrote a script for him, and it's the cheesiest, incorporating every cheesy Gary England saying Friday night in the big town, and tornado precautions and all that, and he put it in a teleprompter and read and ad-libbed every word of it and sent us the video. He couldn't have been a nicer guy. I mean, yeah. So that was awesome. I had to dig around and find that today for sure. So yeah.
And
Very cool.
many thanks to Rick and to James A. and Jen got it out of one of our servers that we belong to, but we're going to have a Gary England memoriam on the 21st of July. A tribute to him, and we're going to have some very famous folks. I think Rick, David Payne, and
Lacey Swope and Val Castor. I think this will be his first appearance on the show, so that'll be cool.
What a crew that will be! And you
just got confirmation just a few minutes ago, actually. So
wow! And James A., you had somebody that was very close to Gary too, and I hope we can get them on also.
Yeah, I've reached out to her, so I hope to hear back soon.
So that's going to be a very fun show, James, coming up here. Of course, we'll take a break next week, and then with this show in the can, and then Lars Lewinsky will join us on the 30th. That was Mr. Gordon's doings, and so that'll be a German meteorologist that'll join us. That'll be a lot of fun, and then we've got great shows coming up all the way into September. Right now, we're booked out all the way now till September the 15th.
The icon.
Right. Yep. So again, for those that are with us, we're doing the June 16th show on June 12th. So next week, there'll be no live show. This is the show for the week of the 16th. We'll be back on Monday night, June the 23rd. But we're traditionally here Monday night, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern, youtube.com/WeatherBrains. But we know that most of you listen to the audio podcast. And of course, if you would like to get in touch with us, the email address here, it is email@weatherbrains.com. Jen should be back for the show on the 23rd. But however you watch, listen, thank you. On behalf of the entire WeatherBrains crew, I'm James Spann. Thanks for listening. Have a great week, and God bless. Thanks, everybody, for doing a Thursday show.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff. Good to
Pleasure to see you all.